Yeah, speaking of taking it down 1,000 notches.
Take it down a notch. Bring us something calming and real. Like an American Strong kind of story.
All right, so let's talk about some of the insane pro-life stuff that's come down since the Roe decision.
Oh, Christ.
A Texas bill introduced in the state legislature that would apply the death penalty for abortions has become a hot-button issue in a Republican primary runoff race in one of Texas's most conservative districts, with one of the candidates supporting the bill and the other opposing it. A law went into effect last September in Texas, banning abortions after 6 weeks, long before most women even know they're pregnant. At the same time, in Arizona, a GOP Senate candidate called for condoms to be banned in all states. Multiple GOP members, including Marsha Blackburn and Mitt Romney, called the Griswold decision unconstitutional, which was a court case basically that said states that can't ban birth control. And Mitch McConnell stated that a national ban on abortion could be possible if Roe v. Wade is overturned.
I guess before we get into the other stuff, what does a ban on condoms have to do with any of this? Is this just some like crazy outlier that's been lumped in with this, or is this like actual?
No. Well, look, I mean, I've actually been doing some research on this, and when you look at what like ordinary Americans think on abortions, so for one thing, 6 in 10 Americans are pro-life and don't believe in very many restrictions on abortion, right? But even when you look at the remaining, 40%, which is a lot, who are pro-life, their views tend to be very nuanced. For the most part, people don't support absolute bans on abortion, whatever. Even if they are generally pro-life, your radical life begins at conception argument is certainly, that's a lot of people, but it's definitely like not even really the majority of like pro-life groups. But if you look at politicians, they are way more extreme than the people they represent, because they need to win primaries. So, they need to appeal to the most extreme people. And like you get people appealing, really to the hardcore religious fanatic, like conception is wrong. Like not making as many babies as possible all the time is wrong kind of philosophy. And
I get that people
are
have
legislating from
deal. It's just, how did we create a world where people are so that's going to go off into a whole different thing. Just the idea that okay, let's lighthearted up. I did have this thought. How do I say this nicely? When people copulate, I assume we've all at least seen it on the internet. It's not.
Most of my friends reproduce by dividing, so I don't really.
Yeah, well, even that, I would say it's not the most like sort of beautiful spiritual of moments that we would have you one think that it is. It tends to be somewhat animalistic, gross, and stanky. I got to tell you. So, I don't know. These guys are maybe not stanky. That was just funny. This whole life begins at conception, it's like, it's funny how they have it all wrapped up as like this beautiful moment. And like, when you tell me life begins at conception, it makes me think of the conception and go like, okay, well, then that really just kind of solidifies the lack of spirituality with this situation, that if life begins at what we think it begins at, when they're at their most animalistic, it seems, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's theological explanations for all of that involving sin or whatever nonsense, but like ultimately I think these really hardcore guys are coming at it from a perspective that is, I think, difficult for someone like me who is not religious at all to understand.
Yeah, I just don't get it all.
They're talking about like, you know, for me, the questions are like, you know, there's two basic questions going on. There's like, you know, in what circumstances is it okay for the government to tell someone you have to risk your life for another person? And, you know, I think that's the big one. And also, you know, if you're talking about like, does a fetus constitute a person? Well, to me, like, I'm thinking, you know, okay, is it conscious? Is it aware of its own existence? Is it able to respond to its surroundings in novel ways? Does it have thoughts? Does it have memories? Does it have emotions? You know, those are the things I care about. But I have to remember that, like, for a lot of people, this issue is really just like, if an egg is fertilized, suddenly an ineffable energy field descends that bestows consciousness magically, and that's the soul, you know? Like, and it's like, I can't really, you know, get behind or sympathize with that, because that's, you know, that's just straight up legislating, you know, someone's religious beliefs and imposing it on other people. So
yeah, it's so contrary to what I was told that we believed as a country. So it's like, here
right.
I am sitting here believing that, you know, one thing is part of our belief system, and that people are getting all, you know, for like where are these literal constitutionalists now? I mean,
right.
you know, where are these people now when it says that, oh, well, that's obviously a religious belief. You know, we've been murdering and killing people in the name of justice and progress for years, and all of a sudden we're going to care about this one, you know. That's a religious belief, and I automatically say, like, so I like to joke about abortion because it, you know, it's funny. But
right, because you're sick in the mind. Like, we have both of them, you know?
But my real belief is, you know, if people say, like, outside of the political aspects of it, are you anti-abortion? My answer is, yeah, totally. That's terrible. Nobody wants to live through that. Nobody wants to deal with that, and so on and so forth. I'm also anti-leg amputation.
Sure,
but
yeah.
you know, sometimes you got to cut the leg off. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's not really my decision. Sometimes you got to unplug grandma, you know. That's the world we live in, and it's not really my place to get involved in unplugging grandma, even if grandma is trying to reach the plug herself and somebody had to help her get there. You know, I think people are just oddly invested in what other people do. And for hating everybody so much, like, this world, they sure want to keep a lot of them alive. It's like, you know, pick a side. Are you a hateful piece of crap, or aren't you? It's like, if you're going to go around hating everybody and stoning them in the streets, I mean, let's just get that over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. You know, we got a Minority Report this, you know, just put an end to it before it starts.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
I might have switched gears halfway through there.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I'm just I'm gonna leave that suitcase on the carousel and wait for whoever's it is to grab it. It's leaking sort of this fluid. I think I heard something scream inside the suitcase. I don't want to touch it. It's not my suitcase.
You'd make a wild driver, Harry. With $50 million.
What she saw was beyond belief until others, too, faced its hideous, uncontrollable menace.